Let's get to Real Clear Politics reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns. Caitlin, this is a key base of the president's, and obviously from Joni Ernst and others who've been on this network, talking to Stuart Varney and others, they're getting worried. They're getting antsy, right?
Sure, they're getting worried because a lot of Trump's base of support happen to be in their states and districts that are going to be feeling, if they're not already, the pinch from the president's tariff policy. And as you know, this is a major disagreement, policy disagreement, that Republicans have with the president, and they've had it for a long time on trade, on tariffs. They don't like the way the president is going here. We also heard from Speaker Paul Ryan earlier today saying that tariffs are not a good idea, that the Republican Party, as he sees it, doesn't agree that those are the right measures policy-wise. So you're going to see a lot of reaction to this on Capitol Hill, I think. And also, you know, Rand Paul is alluding to this idea of paying back or subsidizing these farmers, and he doesn't agree that that's the right thing to do. And I think you'll see some other conservatives kind of echo that sentiment as well.
Yeah, you could argue that we've provided tariff support to farmers who we argue are getting hurt by tariffs on the other side. So it is a little weird. It looks like they're sitting down waiting for the president. How is he doing, though, with his core group? So his poll numbers ticked up a little bit, or what do you make of all that?
Right. His poll numbers have ticked up a little bit. He's still very popular among Republican voters. We saw in a couple of different polls over the past week or so, his base of support among Republicans is around, you know, upwards of 85%, 88%, rivaling only, you know, George W. Bush after 9/11. And so his base of support among Republicans is very high, which, you know, leads him, I think, to believe that he has a lot of leeway with Republicans on this. And, you know, talking to voters, you sometimes hear them say, well, we're willing to give him some leeway here. They trust where the president is going. But on the issue of tariffs, you're not really hearing that. You are hearing from farmers and others in the industry this real concern about getting pinched here. So we'll see what the reaction is to this new policy that's supposed to be announced today. But it is a very interesting thread to keep watching as we assess the president's base of support.
You know, another base that likes him, obviously the investment community, they've been buying up, and the NASDAQ had a record, the Dow following suit here, not in a record territory, but advancing appreciably on the belief, I think sometimes, Caitlin, that they don't see this ever coming to pass, that someone will blink and all will be good and everyone can calm down. But, you know, it doesn't always work out that way. But what do you make of that?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that we're seeing, and we've seen this for a while now, that the markets don't respond in the way that kind of the political world does. And I'm not sure if that's kind of built in, or, you know, what you're talking about in terms of people kind of just in this wait and see mode. Right. And there is a lot of wait and see, but just judging from the reaction from people who would be, you know, directly affected by this, there is still that concern. But the president often talks about the stock market, which of course can be a positive or negative to him, no matter, you know, depending on which way that goes. He also talks a lot about the economy, which I think is helping his numbers among Republicans.
Real quickly, Elizabeth Warren seems to have emerged, and it's always risky to emerge as an early front runner or be deemed a front runner for the Democratic nomination. She made some news talking about the punishment the EU slapped on Google, a $5 billion fine. That they seem more interested, paraphrasing here, in antitrust issues than we are. In other words, seemingly taking the side of the European Union over an American company. How is that going to go down?
Right. Well, you know, among her supporters, it won't be negative. If she is, you know, makes it into a general election, of course, she would get larger pushback here. Of course, the president tweeting earlier that fine was, you know, punishing an American company. You know, Google posted about, you know, $3 billion in profits the last quarter, kind of making that seem like that fine wasn't really a big deal to their bottom line. But Elizabeth Warren, you know, is a so-called frontrunner in the Democratic Party right now. As we're looking ahead towards the next presidential election, she was arguing that, you know, the U.S. has to, you know, take up similar laws to encourage competition. So we'll see how that's received. Remember, she's kind of carved out a niche for herself on the consumer angle, and so we'll see kind of how that is received. Probably positively among her base, but negatively from a broader range.
You know, real quickly, the argument has been that the president benefits because he has so many people likely to challenge him that they divide their message and ultimately divide the support, and he's free and clear on his own. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Democrats might have this problem where they're going to likely have so many people running that it does kind of chop up the field. I mean, we saw that on the Republican side last time around, which, you know, lots of Republicans wanted to run to take on Hillary Clinton. I think we're going to see lots of Democrats want to run to take on President Trump. The midterms right now are about, in terms of messaging, about opposing the president, just given the dynamic of a midterm. Of course, in 2020, Democrats know they'll have to have a bigger, broader, more positive message, but that primary figures to be long, exhaustive, divisive, just like we saw on the Republican side last time.
Oh, man. Time for that again. All right, Caitlin Huey-Burns, always good seeing you, my friend. Thank you very, very much.